And we're back with me, Johnny McMurray, on the On the Spot Football Podcast for yet another fantastic guest. Throwing it back to the mid-70s, one of the youngest people to debut for Linfield, making his move to his hometown club in Ballymena, Mr. John Garrett. John, how are you, sir?
Not too bad, Johnny.
It's good to have you.
To be here.
Well, thank you. You've done me a massive favour this week coming in. Very late notice, which is to be unexpected, but honestly, thank you so much.
No problem.
Such a privilege to have you here. One of the most decorated people that we have on. 16, making your debut, Linfield. What was that like?
It was I made my debut because a Linfield hero, Eric Boyer, broke his leg.
Okay,
and I was sub.
Right, okay.
I come on in the left wing. I remember having one shot where I hit the post. We're playing the Stowley. And the next match I played was against Crusaders, Seaview in the County Antrim Shield. And I was playing the right wing. I was up against a fella, the older people remember, Jeff Gorman.
Okay. And
Jeff was always known as a hard player.
Okay.
So it is. So I remember the first minute, tackle. But I tackled him, put him up in the air.
Right, okay.
I remember he jumped up and he looked at me and he says, "See you wee whippersnapper, I'm meant to be doing that to you." So from a very early stage I learned you have to look after yourself because nobody else is going to do it.
Well, I've done a wee bit of research and I've had a couple of conversations in the last few days with people around who is John Garrett, what sort of player was he and how did he evolve throughout his career. And I know you've touched on there that other people were quite hard-hitting players and midfielders and stuff. Not only were you versatile, but you were quite like that yourself.
Well, I always thought it was hard but fair. I was never sent off. In my Linfield career, I was never sent off once. Right. Never suspended.
Okay. I can't say now the same now if I'm being honest with you, but those things are happening. But that's a good...
So in those days, the game was, if somebody tackled you, you didn't lie down and roll about.
Yes.
You tried to hide it and got up, jumped up and all. So it was just the era I played in. This.
Show no pain, that sort of... You
exactly.
didn't want somebody thinking that they got one over on you.
Whereas now, if you blowing somebody now, they lie down and roll about as if they were hit by a bulldozer.
It's a bit different. But listen, as I said, we've just jumped in there. I want to thank you for coming on. But what I want to do is I want to take it right back. So, John, the way the podcast runs is I like to know about your early years. So, you're a Ballymena man, grew up in Ballymena. How did you end up at Linfield?
Well, I say from about the age of 6 or 7, me and my mates used to go down Suffolk Street there to the side of the Showgrounds and climb over the fence.
Okay.
And two of the committee members, two Kens, Ken Hood and Ken Barr.
Okay.
And they would always be chasing us, but they never caught us. So it is. So from a very early age, I was fully Ballymena. Mm-hmm. So in those days, we didn't have much money, couldn't afford to pay in, so we just climbed the fence.
Kids being kids at that age,
yes,
John.
And then I went from one extreme to the other when I was about 10. I used to do a lot of wee messages, gather potatoes and messages for neighbours, and I bought myself a season ticket for Ballymena.
Right, okay.
Of Davy Holden, who was the chairman of Ballymena.
Right.
He had his shop up from my house. So then I'd be following Ballymena all the time. And then I played youth football around Ballymena under Alec McKee most of the time.
Yep.
Who will figure later on as well. And Ballymena signed every player in the team except me.
Right, okay. Interesting that.
So it is.
How did that feel for you at that age? And I take it you're all friends with everyone.
I remember being about 14 and lying in bed crying, thinking, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Signed everybody else. And in those days, I was a midfield player. I was always either top goal scorer or second.
Right.
And yet, Ballymena didn't. Signed every player in that team, and most of them went on and played in the first team.
Okay.
So there's Ronnie Sands, Joe McCall, Davy Kenny, big fella Jim McConnell, big centre forward. Ronnie Sands, the keeper. Who else was there? Samuel Alexander. Nearly everyone on that team signed for Ballymena, and most of them made first team appearances. Maybe not too many, but Stephen Cathcart. So it was hard, but they done me the biggest favour they could ever do.
Well, it turned out in your favour at some stage, but to be a Ballymena man, a kid at that age wanting to play for Ballymena, ultimately your best goal is, I've been a fan, I want to be here, I want to be at the Showgrounds in front of everyone. To have that sort of taken away from at a young age, it's a massive sort of...
It was hard, but life wasn't easy, you just got home with it.
So why Linfield?
I was selected for the schoolboy international team. I became friendly with wee fella Jackie Smith. He was signed for Linfield. He recommended me at Linfield. So I ended up signing for Linfield.
So
I remember the Sunday, it was a Sunday, believe it or not, the chief scout and his assistant came down to my house.
Right.
And I wasn't in the house at the time. I lived just around the corner from the Showgrounds. And the playing fields is the rectory. And I was up in the fields and I come down and it was about 100 yards from my house and I seen these two boys in long black coats at my front door. And I thought, what have I done? What have I done there?
The black coats.
So I thought it has to be the police or something. So
yeah.
I turned and went back up in the field again.
Oh,
and the field is on a slope. And at the top there's a lot of trees. So then somebody went up there and my mates were up there and I was standing at the top of the hill and I could see one of the boys with the coats coming round. My parents had obviously told them they'll find me in the field. So I hid behind one of the big trees and I said to the boys, find out what he wants. So they come up and there was a wee fella, Jerry Burrell, and Jerry was very aged at the time. By the time he got to the top of the hill, he was out of breath now. And one of my mates says, I'm looking for John Garrett. Do you know where I'll find him? And my mate says, well, what do you want him for? And he says, we want to sign him for Linfield. So I jumped out behind the tree and says, I'm here.
Had your own pace all here, right? Ready to go.
So we down I ended up signed for Linfield. And I travelled up. It was a 8-hour day.
Okay.
Because nobody in our family had a car. So I used to walk out the train station, get the train to Belfast, to York Street, get a bus to the city centre, get another bus to the top of the Donegal Road, walk down to Linfield or Windsor Park, and then back again. So I'd left the house about 4 o'clock in the afternoon and be back about 11 o'clock at night, half 11 at night.
That's mental.
Kids wouldn't do that nowadays.
Well, you wouldn't be allowed to.
No, you wouldn't be allowed to, yeah.
No, parents would be
14.
No chance, absolutely no way.
And another fella, lots of people in Ballymena, he just died there recently, Arthur McLean, was along with Alec McKay the youth teams I played in. Arthur used to be, I'd come off the train lots of times, Arthur would be waiting on me when I left home.
Brilliant.
So it was.
It's a different world nowadays, as you touched on there. It's very different, actually.
14 going about then, and did they worried about
Parents are waving you off. You know, mum and dad are standing there, right? I'll see you at 11, no problem. Get the bus, you'll be alright.
Times have changed.
Times have changed massively.
Maybe not for the best, but they've changed.
No, well, definitely not. But I feel like it's probably a big character building exercise for you to. It's a lot of freedom too, just to go get the buses, start to figure things out.
You're a Ballymena man up in Belfast, as you know, like as we call them down here, the McCoys.
Right.
Quite good at jumping on you, and also every time I open my mouth, it would be talking about me. Like any football dressing rooms can be hard places. It took a while to sort of establish myself, but I suppose the best place to do that's do your talkings on the pitch.
So you're sort of 14, maybe 15 at this age. You're at Linfield for a very short period of time before you end up making your debut, as we touched on there at 16. But
Roy Coyle's first year or two wasn't very successful.
Okay.
So he was, as if it happens when you're not successful, come the end of the season, they throw a lot of the young boys in.
Mm-hmm.
So I played the 3 games before the 1976 Cup final where Linfield lost to Carrick Rangers.
Okay.
That was the 3 games I played that season, 75, 76. And as I said, I made my debut because Eric Boyer broke his leg. And then I played against Crusaders. And then my third match was against Ballymena in the second round of the county championship. And I remember the club game where I always stood as a young fella. The boys gave me a lot of stick. Even my own mates were ever shouting that because I was playing for Linfield. Playing against wee Salmon Macaulay that night. I was the right wing again.
Right, okay.
So that was only 3 games I played that season. And then I went back and played for the Swifts. The day of the Irish Cup final, I played the 3 games before it. I won the Linfield Swifts, the reserve team were playing that morning at Seaview. I was only sub for the reserves.
Right, okay.
Because Linfield Swifts at that time were winning, they won the B division.
Yeah.
When it was Dundela, everybody together.
Yeah.
And they had a good team. So I was only, shows you, I went from 3 games in the first team to sub for the reserves in the space of a couple of weeks.
What was that like coming back to Ballymena after everything that you've been through there in like a short period of maybe a year and a half? and you get to play at the Showgrounds for Linfield.
I loved it.
Did you?
See, when people call me names and all, I don't know. I use that as that as my motivation.
100%.
So there's no sense in crying about things. You just got on with it.
No.
So,
but then again, at this stage, would the boys in the youth team that you would have been with at Ballymena had made the first team at Ballymena?
Yes. Some
of them been playing against you?
Yes.
Right, okay.
So it is. And then plus the fact, because I had no transport, Roy Coyle let me train in Ballymena on the Tuesday night.
Okay.
And only got me Linfield on the Thursday. So when I would be training along with all I didn't train with Ballymena's first team, I trained with the reserve team, because that was most of the boys I played football with.
What was Coyle like as a manager for you in the younger days? Because he's been spoken about
he was,
quite a lot.
Yes. He was the one that gave me a chance.
Yeah.
And he gave me my debut, and he's the one that stuck by me. Now, Coyle there wasn't a lot of chat to him. He didn't say he didn't do this, he didn't do that, he just interrupted.
Right, okay.
When I was at Linfield, most teams have it now, we had 20, 22 players.
Mm-hmm.
Most Irish League clubs had 14 or 15.
Right.
We had 22 players. Coyle's saying was, if you don't do it, I've Sunday it well. So that's how you found out sometimes you weren't playing. You just named the team, you weren't in it.
And you just have to be.
He never talked to you before, you're not doing this right, you're not doing that right. He says, if you don't do it, I've Sunday it will do it. And that was...
Get up to speed.
It was hard, but you can't argue with his record.
It's fair.
Fair enough.
Do you know what I mean?
I've had more conversations with him since he's left.
Right, okay.
Than I had the whole 10 years at Linfield.
Yeah, I get that.
Because he didn't talk to you, that was the way he managed. But you can't argue with his record.
Do you feel like that worked for you at the time, that motivational factor of, if I don't perform, I'm out?
When I went to Ballymena under Ali McKee, Alec was a total opposite.
Okay.
Well, as well as I was Alec's assistant, and we had a great relationship since I was 12. But Alec was totally different. Alec would have talked to you and asked you things, and things were Coyle was just didn't. Just the type of manager he was.
Your first couple of years at Linfield are like growing years, should you say?
No, my first year was my best year.
Was it?
My first year and my last year.
Okay.
My first year, because I was 16, 17, you don't feel any pressure.
Yeah,
just go out and enjoy yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was playing my best football then, and probably my last year, I knew I was leaving 6 or 7 months before the end of the season.
Okay.
I was told by, maybe I shouldn't be telling us, a Linfield director, he was friendly with me, told me I was going.
Okay.
And because of that, I probably just relaxed again, felt no pressure. And my last year was probably one of my best years too. But it just shows you how the mental side of football has a big impact on it.
Did you feel that Linfield was such a big club at that stage where there was a lot of pressure on it anyway?
At least you have to win every game.
Yeah.
But that's the sort of thing I enjoyed.
Yeah.
So I just, say the first year, I had a couple of bad injuries. I tore my groin and was out for 6 months, each one.
Okay.
But I only played midfield. Coyle quite quickly put me back in the defence.
Okay.
I played 301 games for Linfield. I probably played 200 at right back. I probably played 50 at left back and 50 at midfield.
Did you have a preference on where you actually wanted to play at the time, or was it?
Right back was...
That was you comfortable?
But funny enough, Alan Campbell was manager of Ballymena at the time.
Okay.
And Alan tried quite a lot of times to get me to go to Ballymena.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him there's no way I'm leaving Linfield till they get rid of me.
Right, okay.
So the time they get rid of me, Alan was gone.
Mm-hmm.
But Alan wanted me to come to Ballymena to play sweeper.
Right.
And I says, Alan, I've never played that in my life. He says, you did for the Youth Internationals. Right. I says, I was meant to be centre half.
Right, okay.
The head of the ball was never one of my strong points. Okay. So I just sort of sweep behind whoever I was with.
Let them.
So it is. And he says, I watched you playing for the Youth International team. He says, you do a great job for me. I said, but I want to play fullback because I like to go forward.
Yeah.
And he says, but I want you to go forward. He talked about, what do you call it, was it Ray McGuigan he had at Glenavon before he came to Ballymena. And he says, Ray scores 8 goals for me last season from playing sweeper.
Right, okay.
He says, I want you to do the same thing. Alan Campbell was a great man manager.
Okay.
The total opposite of Coyle.
Did you prefer that style of management?
Yes.
The arm
More
around the
comfortable,
shoulder,
yes,
comfortable,
Well,
confidence.
it could be hard. Alan could be hard. He's a good manager. But Collier never put an arm around your shoulder. He just dropped it.
You win your first double at 18. Talk to me about winning your first sort of adult trophy of your career.
We beat Ballymena in the final.
Okay. Perfect.
I was playing in midfield in that game. I also scored.
Okay.
So I did. Against Tommy Sloan, John Sloan was playing, Simon McCauley, Kenny Spence. Quite a lot of Ballymena players in the team that year too. So I did. So I remember the week before I took some stick.
As you would.
The work colleagues around the town.
Absolutely.
And after scoring, and I was never one for, I only scored 20 odd goals in my career. But I wasn't one for celebrating. I run the whole way right around the fence. I was over by all the Ballymena fans. And I thought, I will teach you for
get me own back.
Get me own back.
Fantastic.
It was only when I read, somebody said to me, I think you're the youngest player ever do the double. I would say that it's probably taken more now because Linfield's done more doubles than enough to be somebody younger than me.
But at that time,
I was supposedly the youngest player to do it.
Amazing.
It is. And then I think, following 1980, I think they won 4 trophies. There only was 5.
Okay.
And the County Honour Shield was the last one. We called it, at Linfield, we called it the Bad Lad.
Right, okay.
Although you've won it yourself, huh?
Yeah.
It's some weight of a trophy.
Some weight, yeah.
And we called it the Ben Lad because it was always last played for.
Yeah.
And we had won the 4 of them. We played Crusaders at Windsor in the first round. And they beat us 3-0. And we got slow hand clapped off the pitch.
Right.
After winning 4 trophies out of 5. So that's what it was like to play for Linfield.
Yeah, that's kind of sums it up quite well there, isn't it? 5 out of 5 or nothing.
No,
you know what I mean?
they were in for the Grand Slam, which hadn't been done for a long while.
Yeah.
Davy done it a few years ago. And I remember getting slow hand clapped off the pitch. And I said to myself walking off, I thought, that's what happens, you play for Linfield.
You're 18 at this stage. You've just done your first double. You've been introduced to the Northern Ireland setup. You're a youth boy international. You're under 19s, under 21s. What's that like for you? Are you feeling like I'm on top of the world here in terms of playing football? I'm confident. I'm ready to go.
One of the proudest moments of my life was captain in the under 18 team, the youth team.
Okay.
So I was. We only played about. We usually played about 4 games a season, but we had a trip to Iran.
Right. Okay.
The Shah of Iran was still in power before the Ayatollah. Ayatollah took over 6 months after we were there. Okay. So we were invited to this tournament in Iran. And all I remember is it was just armed guards everywhere. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel it, so that's the way it was at home. Mm-hmm. I remember the same Jackie Smith I mentioned who got me signed for Linfield was in the Youth International team as well. And we were all in our room. And I think it was my room. My room was just above the front door, where 2 armed guards were standing all the time. So we Jackie being him thought he would be funny. He peed over the top of them.
Okay.
The next thing we hear is the
door coming in.
The guns on the door, and this boy screaming and all. And we all hid under the bed. I remember I was in behind the shower curtain, and one of the boys says to me, "You better go and answer that door." And I said, I'm not going to answer the door. He says, "You're the captain." I opened the door and the boy stuck the gun to about 2 inches from my nose. And it seemed like 10 minutes and probably only 30 seconds, but he wabble, 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 and his finger on the trigger. And finally, I said, I'm sorry. And finally, he just went away. That was a scary time. We were there in February. And being captain again, one of the boys says to me, in the hotel at a swimming pool, but it was full of leaves.
Okay.
So you couldn't really get into it. And one of the boys says to me, you have to go and see the manager to get the pool cleaned out. So I went to see the manager and I said to him, no, any chance the boys would like a swim? That was low 20s this time. And he says, no, sorry, we only use the pool in the summer. We were coming from Northern Ireland and all that kind. We couldn't get out of the pool because they didn't clean it out because it wasn't summertime.
No, fair enough.
So it is. But there are some good trips.
Those sorts of trips with those like those teams, you never forget them.
That was why I think the Linfield team I played in, we worked hard. We all played as hard together as well.
Yeah.
And there was more bonds made, I reckon, and the trips we were on, and there was training Tuesday, Thursday, playing Saturday.
No, absolutely.
So it is. Because there was more time to be together and you got to know each other a lot better. And we still have a Linfield WhatsApp group. There's about 20 of us in it.
Brilliant.
So it is.
Who would be in that WhatsApp group?
Oh, Peter Rafferty was in it. He is now, sadly, he moved to Spain. He's back home, dementia.
Right, okay.
He's not well. George the Lob. Martin McCarthy was in it, left it. Peter Dorland. Lee Dougherty. Who else? Lindsay McEwen. Colin McCurdy. Geordie the Lob would do most of the looking after, but nearly everybody that played in that team would be in it.
Fantastic.
We still get together. There's another, probably twice a year we all get together.
So you should.
So we do.
There's nothing quite like it. I know it's hard to explain it, but it'll never change. Like, even though you haven't seen each other in months.
Monthly next and all that we do, was always prone to make mistakes. And
yeah.
So it is. So the banter retakes, and you get McCurdy and McEwen and the Lob together. You don't get much chance to get a word inside this, but it makes the day go in quick. So
it does.
So it's always good crap. It's part. People always say that I miss playing. I miss the camaraderie after it more than I do the playing.
Social aspect.
I played for 18 years, so I reckon I done that. I got me worth out of that, but off the pitch. So I still enjoy when we get together.
Aye, because it's like you've never been away.
Right.
That's good.
So
it's fantastic, that
fun.
one. Talk to me about being at Linfield. You've obviously won titles now. I'd say you've represented Northern Ireland at the various age groups, and you've obviously made it to Europe a few times. So what's that like at that stage? I know you've kind of briefly touched on there. You're in the trouble sort of, and you'll be able to play in that stage. Obviously, that's one side and factor of things, but obviously Linfield wins most years, and they go on numerous European trips. I think you've had numerous yourself. But
probably the most infamous one is Battle of Dundalk. I played that night.
Okay.
I've never seen so many stones and broken balls and a football pitch, and we still played on.
Yeah.
The referee was told by the police, apparently, we can't cancel this match. We're going to be a riot. We had to play this match. But we just played on.
Yeah.
But I remember looking down thinking, somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
So I remember it wasn't a game, but it would remind me, it was a Linfield Clifford game, and I wasn't far away from the halfway line, and I heard that by my ear. I thought, what was that? And I looked up, line just at the halfway line was a golf ball.
Okay.
If it had hit me, it would have killed me. You just got up and go home with it. So
at that stage, do you think that that's just normal?
That was just part of
the time, isn't it?
It was there. That was the times we were playing, and you should go on with it. So it is. And we played Shamrock Rovers, that was as well. I always remember European games, I was always thinking, Here They Come Again was a famous old saying we had.
Right, okay.
No, if and Here They Come Again. Because it was always just 10 or 11 men defending. So I remember playing probably, they only beat us 2-0 because George the Lob in goals probably. They had the bar, I think, in the post about 6 times, and George the Lob made about 10 wonder saves, and they only beat us 2-0.
Right, okay.
But that is the worst time. I remember they were so quick and so fast.
Yeah.
So they were. And then we played Benfica.
Okay.
In the Stadium of Light.
Right, okay.
There were 60,000 at it, the biggest crowd ever played under. I held 90, and it seemed empty.
Right, okay, yeah.
So
there's just a lot of space. You're going,
it wasn't
no way.
The noise they usually have at their games, they told us, because we were, in those days, there was no seats. We played, Benfica's probably the biggest team we played.
And it was all just standing there at that
And Eusebio was still there. And I remember the dressing room was massive compared to Irish League dressing rooms were half the size of this room.
Yeah.
And this dressing room was massive. And it was away down under the ground. You had to go up. It took you about 2 minutes to walk up the steps to get to the ground. Well, at the top of the steps, at this time, Peter Dorland was started the PFA, the Players' Union.
Okay.
And Peter was a solicitor. He took on IFA on his own.
Okay.
Say that. And Peter started all the PFA, and we were all brothers in the PFA and all the geeking up with the chat and all. I remember we'd come up the tunnel. Eusebio was standing at the top of the tunnel, the top of the steps. And I remember Peter walks over, does that, and puts the hand out, says, "What about you, brother?" Eusebio goes, "Mad Irishman, mad Irishman." So, and then we got out of the pitch, and I remember standing and I thought, I felt all wet, the back of my head all wet, and I thought, somebody's taking a piss here, and I looked around, a sprinkler.
Right.
I'd never seen a sprinkler in my life before. I thought, where'd that come from? They pop up out of the grass. I'd never seen one in my life before. And there's me standing getting soaked with it.
Right.
So and all I remember is like a billiard table. Like Irish League pitches in those days were quagmires.
Aye, all over the place.
So
yeah.
Played most of the time in muck, which sort of subbed me because it slowed everybody down to my pace. I
get you.
So
using it to your advantage.
This was like a billiard table, so it was the pitch.
And they moved it probably as quick as possible.
So they beat us. We held them. It was 0-0. 20 minutes ago. They scored one and then they scored two in the last couple of minutes. So we drew 2 each with them. I think we either drew 2 each and they beat us 3-2 at Windsor. So Europe trips were always great. They were great for people binding with each other and all that.
Absolutely.
So it is. But we were always on a hiding to nothing. Like we always accept that you only go to play 2 games every season. Nowadays, you know,
you're getting
stages of that law game. I know.
Especially if you
played 14 games in Europe. So that's over 7 seasons we played.
Amazing.
So it is.
Benfica is such a huge team too. At that stage to be going, we're going away here.
They were one of the top teams.
Like, and that's the thing too. Even though people get into Europe at the minute, the categories, the way you're seated, you're never getting a team like that. So doing that at that stage,
those days you have to get through to your quarter-final or something to make a team like that. So it's not going to happen.
And you think about the players that you've just mentioned there, like Eusebio's one of the biggest names in world football. Must have been phenomenal. You're probably just sitting watching at that stage, going, "This is phenomenal." Getting to watch.
He wasn't playing. He was just
there.
He was just there. He was a sort of ambassador for the club at that time or something. It was after his time. That would have been probably we played Benfica 78, 79 or something like that. Eusebio, I think, had finished. And he was just an ambassador.
Class.
I was just seeing at that time. He was the second best player in the world to me. Pelé was number 1.
Okay.
And Eusebio was 2, and George Best would have been up in there as well. So they would have.
Do you think that would be the order you would stick to?
Well, at that time, I had Best at 2 above Eusebio. But
okay. Well, speaking of George Best,
yes,
you would have played with
him 2 or 3 times, and I played against him 2 or 3 times.
What was that like? Was George as good as?
Well, George,
he was made out to be.
Well, on the pitch when I was playing, he was probably in his 30s.
Okay.
So he still had all the time. I think he's one of his last games I played against him. I was up against George. I was right back, and George was playing for I can't remember the American team he played for. We were playing them at Windsor, and we were all up after the game, and one of the reporters came over and says to me, "I've just had a good interview with George there." And I says, I asked him what he thought of the game, and he says, "The big fella marking me wasn't too bad."
Brilliant.
So I'll take that as a compliment for George.
Absolutely.
A few years later, when George died, I went up to the City Hall, Belfast, to sign the book and condolences. And you sign your name, you really write a wee sentence below it. So I wrote down, "You weren't so bad yourself."
Brilliant.
So it is.
Touching.
But the story of George Best was Peter Dornan's testimonial. One of the other games they played in. George arrived 5 minutes before kickoff.
Yeah, great.
He walked in and says, "Hello, boys." They changed. His warm-up was, all right, everybody's warming up. George never moved.
Just sat
there, and he got out and then went out and played. But we found out after the game, his fee for the testimonial was, well, I'd been telling the story for years with £1,000. Peter Dornan told me it was only 750.
Okay.
So George got his money on cash, but didn't we tell anybody?
A wee brown envelope.
His father was standing at the door of the book room.
Okay.
And Windsor, don't know if you remember, that time was just a wee long narrow tunnel. You had to go sideways to go by somebody, and it went for the full length of the pitch. George went down the envelope with his fee in it, give it his father, said, "Hey, that's for you, Dad."
Brilliant.
Stories of that, people never publicised, but that was George Best.
And that's the thing too, you think for somebody who was so world renowned as the playboy of football type thing.
Well, we were all in the bath after. One of the boys said to him, "When we gave you next," I said, "George, tell us about Mr. World,
Give us the good stuff.
Story. You know that George, you probably heard that story. George Best, he was, I think he had one of his benches and he wasn't playing, but he had one of the, it was like the Miss World. I can't remember what he had 2 or 3 of them, I think, but one of the Miss Worlds, and he was lying in bed with her. He just won 37,000, I think he says, at the casino, which was big money then.
Oh, wow, I'm sure it is.
And he had ordered up
big money now.
He ordered up a bottle of champagne from the reception, and the wee porter brings up the champagne, just happening from Belfast.
Right, okay.
And he opens the door, and George is lying there, Miss World, and the 2 of them naked in the bed, and all the money scattered over the bed. And the porter set down the bottle of champagne and says to George, "Mr. Best, do you mind if I ask you a question?" George says, "All right, go ahead." He says, "Where did it all go wrong?" He's lying there with this morning, all this money. Where did it all go wrong? But he was a gentleman.
Yeah, I'm sure
he was.
I'm sure he was.
Very shy, very shy.
Well, that's the thing too.
Like, say why he had to drink.
Yeah, probably help with the confidence side of things then.
The match, I was alone, invited with the team. I remember 2 things: shaking hands with Pat Jennings, and I thought, where did my hand go?
Do you know, weirdly,
as
you touch on this, I done a tour of Windsor quite recently with a lot of adults with learning difficulties, and there's a thing in there with Pat Jennings' hand. You can put it in.
It's massive.
I was like, and I must have wee girl hands or something, because I was like, what?
Pat and George always roomed together, because they're both really shy.
So mad.
Enough, the 2 probably are star players, but they were shy. And George, that was his last game. Johan Cruyff, we played Hull in the World Cup qualifier. Now, we were already out. Holland qualified. I think Holland got beat in the final.
So you're a part of the Northern Ireland squad.
I wasn't in the squad. I was just invited.
So you were there with them training, and I
remember I was sitting in my room. I didn't know what to do.
Right, okay.
And then this knock came to the door, and I can't remember who it was. Was it Dean McCreary or something? I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Come on down and join the boys."
Yeah.
So I went down and joined the boys, and that was a good experience. So it was.
So at least you were there for a moment of history.
History, yeah.
Realistic. Oh, man.
So it wasn't to be. It's I had my chances to go to England a few times. Okay. Arsenal probably was the biggest bet.
Okay.
Terry Neal, who was the Bangor man, was manager at the time, and Don Howe, who went on to manage England and Arsenal, he was assistant manager. And I went over in the trial and all, and I remember Terry Neal and the Marble Staircase. Highbury was known for the Marble Staircase. They met me there, and he says, I was there for a week, and he says, "I'll let you know, but offer you a job." And my first thought was, football's not a job. Yeah. Football's my sport. So straight away, that's a minus spark. There's no way you're going to make it with that kind of attitude. And he says to me, I was a second year apprentice, electrical apprentice, earning £33 a week.
Okay.
They offered me 200 plus bonuses. And I turned it down.
You turned down Arsenal?
I didn't want to turned it down. I told them I needed time to think about it, and they said, "Right, we'll give you a week." That week went only 3 weeks, and then it went only 4 weeks, and then only 6 weeks. I didn't want to say no, but I knew I didn't want to go.
Right.
So finally, I remember meeting fellow Jim Duncan, one of Linfield's directors, and he says to me, "You don't want to go, do you?" I knew Jim well.
Yeah.
I says, "No, not really." He says, "Go on and tell him that." So then Linfield weren't too pleased because the fee was 30,000 or something.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money then.
Absolutely.
And they were losing this, so obviously they weren't too happy, but never regretted it.
No?
Never once. I didn't think the number, most importantly, I couldn't say, and more importantly, I didn't think it was good enough. Right. So it was. So they thought it was good enough, but I didn't. So I've never regretted it, never once.
Do you think, though, if you had made that step across, one, obviously I'm thinking that your career elevates, you probably become a better footballer, but if you did have a problem with your eyesight, as you've just touched on there, do you not think that they might have helped you with it?
So they could have. Well, I remember, Linfield actually was one time, we were playing my first year. I was at halfway line and we scored.
Okay.
Wasn't Paul Malone, it was Martin Malone, his brother, and Eric McGee. And I ran down and jumped on Eric McGee. And he says, "What are you doing?" It wasn't me that scored, it was in the halfway line. I could see a jersey, but I couldn't see a face.
Yeah.
So So he obviously told the rest of the boys that story that I took a long stick. And then of course, says to me, can you not see? And I says, not really, no. So Linfield got me contact lenses, which in those days were very small, hard contact lenses. Mm. And they sent me to the optician behind the City Hall in Belfast. And I wore those lenses my whole career.
Right. Did it make a massive difference, or you still... It did?
But when I didn't lose them, I lost them all the time as well, didn't I?
Right, okay.
So but I hated them. The last thing I did was put them in, and the first thing I did after the match was take them out. Yeah. There was one time I actually couldn't get it in.
Right, okay.
But I missed the kickoff. Corey, you give me a real bollock on there. He says, here, make sure you get them things in early, but I couldn't put them in early. It didn't feel comfortable. Yeah. So it wasn't really, it was a hindrance the whole time. Plus the light, you didn't have many matches under floodlights then. Windsor was the only ground that had floodlights in the Oval. But when we had to play, the sun was shining on me, and I just got blinded. And the lights, floodlights, I couldn't see them at all. So, brilliant. All these things adding up. So I reckon I probably didn't. As I say, I met early in my career a fellow Billy Smith, scout for QPR. Okay. And he said to me, he says, I've been watching you, young fella. He says, you look like a good player. He says, you'd be some player if you could see. So sort of got round there, and then I used to play on it with the referees. If I did a tackle and it was bad, I said, I can't see, and all that.
Right. Can I let you away with it?
One of the first things I always done before every game was find out the referee's first name.
Try and become friends.
Yes. If you're tackling boys and some of them's hard and fair and all that, if you're at the wrong side of the referee, you'll get booked. Yeah. If you go up and say, Malcolm or Alan, I'm sorry, I didn't mean, and he says, and some of them would always say to me, you're going to tell me you can't see, and don't do it again. So yeah, you use everything to your advantage. Curiosity
here more than anything, but you've been given the opportunity of a lifetime to sign for Arsenal. Mm-hmm. You've turned it down, so you've touched on their £200 and something a
week plus bonuses.
What sort of wages would you have been on at Linfield?
At that time, I was on £9.
Right, okay.
My first wage, my first year was £6.
And was there any bonuses?
There was a bonus, £2 for a win and £1 for a draw.
Most bonuses do you think you were getting for Arsenal at that stage? Was it?
Well, I don't know. We probably could have doubled that, 200 probably for your bonuses. So
at least you can always stick to your guns and say money was never a factor.
Money's never come into my feeling.
Money at that stage probably would have come into my mind.
I don't like the fact other people were getting paid more than me when we were doing. Well, I would maybe even do a better job than them. But yes. So I'm not saying money didn't come into it, but it didn't affect. Football was more important. Yeah. So it was. And the way I look at it now, I've got loads of medals. They sit and look at it at home. The boys have got all that money. I spent it long ago.
How many trophies did you win over your time at Linfield?
23 or 24.
Incredible. For what, 8 years? 9 years?
10 years.
10 years.
Jesus. So and we were winning. We were never in that team.
Were you that far ahead of other teams in the Irish League at that stage?
We didn't think so. We always were winning my 10 years there, we won the League 8.
Right, okay.
And so, Glentoran won the Cup most of the time. Okay. The Linfield team I played in, and they've talked the Linfield supporters this, and they're amazed at this. We always thought Glentoran were a better team. They were a better footballer team than we were. Okay. I was playing right back. If I would play Peter O'Donnell would play in front of me, he would have won the way most teams play now. Come and get the ball off you. Yeah. If I give the ball to him, corner break, get everything up the pitch. Mm-hmm.
Get after it, end it long, get after it. Do you know what? It works though, being direct. I think I actually love it.
I'm a great lover of Pep Guardiola and all that there, but I'm fed up watching tappy football.
I agree.
There's more passes go along the halfway line than there is go forward.
And that's your two centre halves.
So it is. Two centre halves play the ball more than any other. I don't watch. I watch some football on TV, but I'll probably be sitting doing my puzzles, my Sudokus when I'm watching it. That's how
more
it's not entertaining anymore. And they're lying down, and as if somebody, boys taking. Did I ever see anybody taking a throw in 10 yards from where the ball went out?
No.
There's a new set of rules now for playing in the penalty box. It's rugby rules. You grab everybody. You do that in the halfway line, it's a free kick. Yeah. You do it in the penalty box at corners. The referee stands and looks and plays away. Yeah. They're ruining the game. Thus far.
So many talking points.
It's nice to get the decision right, but It's ruining the game.
Sometimes those little moments of, God, he's got away with one there, makes a better headline at the weekend than... That could help a wee team like Wolves on a Saturday scrape up draw.
As far as concerned, I don't. Spontaneity's gone away, and if you score a goal, you have to stand and wait.
No, exactly. Can't
tell. 4 or 5 minutes, the referee goes, if there's no offside, surely they can tell straight away if it's offside or not. Yeah. They take 5 minutes with all this technology. I don't know, football, I suppose the old boys used to say to me, it's not the same game as I played, but it's just, football's not a sport anymore. It's a business.
It is. It's money.
Even in the Irish League, it's now a business. Whereas to me, it was a sport.
Well,
I told Terry Neal.
We'll come to that, because it's all that sort of side of things really interest me. But you've been at Linfield since you were 16. By the age you're 24, you have a testimonial.
Yes.
Must be one of the youngest people to ever get a testimonial.
Supposedly I'd be told I'm the youngest player ever to get it. And I still think that applies. Especially now, because a few years after I left, I was only 8 years when I was there, so I was 16 and 8 was 24. They put it'll be 10 years because there were so many people.
It's the him.
That time there, people didn't move about. Nearly every year I was in Linfield, somebody had a testimonial.
Right.
So I was.
And what way would that work back then? Would it be very similar to now? Would you have a game, fundraising money?
I tried to get a game, but Newcastle were coming over and couldn't get them.
Okay.
So I think I also, being young, foolish, probably, I end up with less money than anybody got. But it was still a lot of money in those days. Mm-hmm. So it was. And then I also, being 24, I was shy when I was young.
Right.
And when you were going to supporters clubs, they were giving you a cheque and all. At least you could say, was thank you, but I couldn't do it.
Right, okay.
And this went on for the first 2 or 3 times. And one of my committee men says to me, John, you're going to have to go up there and just got me say thank you. So I thought, right, I better have to do this. So I went up, said at the end of my year, you had a full calendar year. By the end of that year, they couldn't get me down.
Right, okay. How was you ready
to do this?
Talking then?
They couldn't so they couldn't
shut you up.
Couldn't shut me up then after. But it was good. You're meeting all the supporters and all. It's nice.
It's a good thing to wrap up, especially for people who have served that long. I feel like it's definitely a good honour to have the club.
I played in the team full of legends, but there's no way I would class myself on. I always classed myself being lucky. I played in the team which was full of legends.
Right, okay.
But the Blue Men liked me because I gave 100%.
That's all that matters.
Most football supporters, if they see you're trying.
Absolutely.
I wasn't the best footballer in the world. So I tried.
I would say that very much so with even now.
And that's all I heard from the supporters all through my benefit year.
Tackles people in front of him, he gives 100%. So
the whole time I was at Linfield, I say Alan Campbell was trying to assign me, but I said, Alan, I'm not leaving to get rid of me, but then Coiler decided I was going. And I found out about 7 months before I went.
Did you want to go at this stage?
Oh, no, I wasn't.
You were happy to stay?
I wasn't leaving Linfield till they got rid of me. Okay. So I wasn't.
So were you upset at this stage that Coiler made the decision to kind of let you go?
I just thought that's the way it is.
Football's football.
So I found out 7 months before it. Linfield didn't know I knew, but I knew.
Right, okay.
They signed Alan Dornan.
Okay.
From Ards. And they had the deal all done at that stage. It was one of the top committee men to Ballymena man too, resident from Ballymena, right. But he told me I would go on. It was for that season I played every game in the league. We won the title that year again. And I reckon after my first year that was my best year.
Leaving on a high, but you're more proud of that then at that stage? Okay. And had you lined up then your next club or negotiating? I didn't know where I was going. Okay. They for my service, they give me, because I didn't cause too much hassle when I was there, they give me a free transfer. Right, okay. So one of my committee men and my Linfield testimonial was friendly with Jimmy Brown, the Ballymena manager. It was me that was doing all the approaching to get signed to Ballymena. Okay. You wanted to go home? I wanted to go home with Ballymena. Carrick offered me 4 times what Ballymena offered. I kind of struggled, like looking at it now, being like different clubs back then had more money. Well, Ballymena was a big money team, but then they were bankrupt. Okay. So I went at the wrong time. So I say Carrick offered me 4 times what Ballymena offered. Right. But I wanted to play for Ballymena.
I was lucky. I played for the two teams in Irish League One they played for,
100%.
Linfield and Ballymena. And they said to me, everybody is on £15 a week.
At Ballymena?
At Ballymena, and I said, I'm not signing for £15. He says, we'll give you 17. So I signed for 17.
Okay.
I was still on 17 when I left 8 years later.
I don't know whether that's because you're just a bad negotiator and you should
I
have...
didn't negotiate. I was free. A free agent every year. I could have walked away. I wasn't...
So
in those days, the players were tied to
by
Ballymena and they couldn't leave.
Right.
I could leave every year. Didn't want to go. I was happy where I was.
Why would you not sign yourself into a longer term deal then?
Well, they couldn't afford it.
Okay.
They had no money.
So did they go bankrupt pretty much as soon as you signed?
The bankrupt.
So just to rule this out here, you didn't bankrupt
No,
Ballymena?
I didn't know.
Probably people in the town probably saying, go on, he signed here. For
No, they were bankrupt before I got there. So I signed anyway.
Okay. Brilliant.
And I was great. I loved it. First couple of under Jimmy Brown. Jimmy probably paid me a compliment. A few years later, I met him at dinner.
Okay.
And he said to me, Jimmy can be very dour at times. He said to me, you got me the sack.
Right, okay.
I says, what do you mean? He says, if you hadn't got injured, he says, I wouldn't have got sacked. So I thought, I'll take it as a compliment, Jimmy. And he said,
absolutely. You might as well.
Oh.
Bit of positivity.
Yeah, so I was trying to always do the best of the things, huh?
Yeah. So what was it like getting that deal done over the line, getting back in the sky blue strip, something that you've always wanted to do since you were 14?
It was a shock.
Right.
Because in my first seasons at Ballymena, the kit was just set out in the Linfield. Everybody had their kit the way you have now. The kit was just set in there, and all you had in there was the wee bench in the middle of the room, and the gear was set there. And I always put my gear on last. Every pair of socks I wore at Ballymena had a hole in it.
Right, okay.
Nowadays they're running about with two kits.
Yeah.
All the time. A football kit had to do you 2 seasons there.
Mm-hmm.
So it is. So the average thing after, I thought, Linfield everything was done very professional. But I didn't, as I say, things like that didn't bother me. I just got up.
You just loved
I loved
being
playing
back.
for Ballymena.
Yeah.
And it worked out well. First couple of, I won the every player of the year for the first two months.
Right.
Then I got hurt. Didn't play again for 2 years.
What happened there?
At the tackle. I also remember doing a tackle right in front of Jimmy Brown. Crunching Sunday. Fair tackles. Got the ball first.
No, here, just firm.
Good tackle was you got the ball.
Like
Great tackle was you got the ball.
have to justify to me, I get you.
So that's Jimmy Brown. Great tackle. I remember thinking, feel me knee.
Right, okay.
I played on that game. Got treatment and they said they couldn't see anything wrong with it. They didn't know in those days anyway. I played on another game and then I was nearly crippled. I went to see, got the x-rays and all that. They said they can't see anything wrong with it. I knew there was something wrong. I spent 2 years trying to get fit and then I gave up.
Even to this day now, do you have an idea of what you think it might have been?
I think it was my ACL.
Gone completely?
Yes. All the symptoms were there because I finally did do it. Because I come back. By this time, Jimmy Brown had been sick. Mm-hmm. Alec McKee took over. Alec had brought me there as his assistant. So I came with Alec, joined in the training, took the training, started to join in. And Alec says to me one night after training for 4 or 5 weeks, he says, you sure you can play? And I says, well, I wouldn't mind giving it a go.
So just to clarify here, you've pretty much retired
I had retired, I
what
kicked the ball
age
for
would you have been? 20?
20, I was 26 when it happened. I was 28 when I started, when I joined Alec as assistant manager.
So you've missed from 26, which is pretty much most people's prime, 2 years.
Everybody says it's your prime years. It was the 2 years I was out. I then trained in that. Alec said to me, do you fancy it? And I says, under one condition. I says, I'm not playing right back.
Okay.
I says, my knee will not stick hard tackles. Mm-hmm. I says, I'll play sweeper. Because my idea of sweeper then, you had a centre half and the sweeper. I don't know, they play twin centre halves, they play all these fancy things. The centre half, the sweeper. And I thought, I play football now in my head, rather than my feet. So I was organising everybody else and getting them what to do. And it worked out well. And funny enough, the night Alex says to me, you think you can play? And I says, oh, well, if you let me play sweeper. He says, you play wherever you want as long as you're playing. So he says, right, have a game, you can play the reserves on Saturday, see what it's like. just happened to be against Linfield Swiss
Okay, right.
at Midgley Park. So I played that game, felt okay, come off the pitch. Alex says, what about it? And I says, feels okay. He says, you're playing the first team next week.
Was there ever any flare-ups early on to let you indicate that there may have been another problem, or were you good to go?
No. For 2 years, I never missed a match.
That's insane.
So it is. And then Alec then left. Jim Hagan came in, and Jim played sweeper.
Okay, so this is a couple of years later.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
And well, during Alec's time, we'll go. We'll carry on with Jim Hagan, but Jim played sweeper in my possession, and Jim says to me, I want you to play right back. And I knew as soon as he said that, I says, I'm not going to last.
Yeah.
No, I didn't last. Lasted one game. I thought it would last a while, but my first game, the crunch and tackle, we were down at Coleraine, we were playing Coleraine. Crunch and tackle, and I remember Neil Fullerton, who's Jackie's nephew, was playing for Ballymena at the time. Neil shouts over me, great tackle, John, great tackle. I remember standing up after the tackle and my leg just felt as if it was hanging there.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back to get, this time they said, yes, you've done your ACL. So he repaired it. He done 4 operations on me. Never kicked the ball. I tried to play after it. I played 4 games for Carrick. Ballymena let me go. And I played 4 games for Carrick, but couldn't walk after it. So I had to give up. So the ACLs now, I think they do them through the, they don't.
There's all, yours is right up.
There and out there.
Well, mine's up the inside, and it depends on what way they want to do it, because they can do so many different.
So that was me. That was me finished at 30, and also thinking, at that stage, mentally, physically, I felt as good as I ever did.
Yeah.
I've always kept fit. Mentally, I was as strong as I ever was. So I was at my peak at that time, 30, I was when I had it. But it was just all taken away from me. But
I want to go back. I will go back. I want to stay on this, but I want to go back at some stage, just your time at Ballymena when you just came back. But you're talking there about you've just turned 30. You're physically in the prime of yourself. You're mentally the strongest that you've ever been. But how frustrating must that have been for you? Your body couldn't do what you wanted it to do at that stage, because as you say, most people play until they're 34, 5, 6.
Well, I reckon I could have played at that time. Now they're playing at 40. Yeah, 30, you were on the way out. My day, but I reckon I could play to 35, no problem, because I was physically fit and all, mentally I felt good. So it is, but didn't have. I just accepted it.
Did it?
At least I knew there was something there.
Yeah.
But I remember the surgeon. One of the surgeons, he lifted my leg up and he put it up and he says, "He's big, strong legs." He says, "Better make sure I don't sew this loose."
Aye.
He sewed it that tight, I can't straighten my leg.
He's done the opposite. He's done the opposite there.
He's sewed it too tight.
Right. Okay.
And it was so tight now it swells up every so often.
Yeah.
So it is. But I just live with it. I can still train away. Just can't run anymore.
Do you feel like after that operation, things were taken away from you because of the way the outcome of the operation
No, the
went?
way, same looking at the positives again, I looked at it, I had 18 years Irish League football. Mm-hmm. Most people don't get that.
No, most people will never start at 16, if I'm being completely honest.
So I thought, that's the way I looked at it, rather than be negative about it. Disappointed, but I wasn't never negative about it.
Talk to me about your years and your peak at Ballymena. So you come back, you're sweeper. You've got a role in there where you're probably leading. Yeah. You're able to be a sort of like a captain and leader there.
I went home to my wife at that time. And at the time I was married, and most of the Saturday nights I was host. I played with me and everybody telling me organising body out there. So it is, and I really enjoyed it.
Was that your most enjoyable time coming back over your
on the football pitches, except for my first year and last year at Linfield? My years playing. The years I played, for the 4 years I played in Ballymena out of the 8, were really enjoyable. Because, I suppose the way you put it, Linfield, there was a small fish in a big pond. Mm-hmm. At Ballymena, there was a big fish in a small pond. And also,
a bankrupt
with Alec at the time, who, obviously money didn't bother me at the time. I was with somebody I knew all my life, and I knew we had a great relationship together, so I just was loving my football.
See, when we talk about the style of management that you've had? Obviously, you said that you probably responded better to the man management style of things. Do you think that if you had had that at your years at Linfield, looking back, do you think that that would have made you a better, more confident player, or you think that you were able to get...
Possibly, yes.
Yeah.
Some players respond to kicking the backside. Some players need the pat on the back. Sometimes a bit of both. Sometimes at Linfield, you can feel lonely.
Yeah.
If a curler didn't play, he never spoke to you. You never egged you on, you get back in the team, we had a great, it wasn't just Roy Coyle, there was Billy Rogers was his assistant, Len Hara, the physio, Davy Tibbs, Andy Kerr. The backroom staff there, been there for years, and were brilliant. But Coyle they always spoke to you and talked to you,
Right, they were able to delegate the conversations instead of him.
Tommy Wright managed Ballymena. Tommy's with, I think, with the youth team now, is he?
Tommy's with the 21s, yeah.
I was always saying to Tommy, when Tommy came to Linfield, I was at Linfield, and I was saying to Tommy how good Billy Rogers is. You could talk to him and help you out and all.
Yeah.
And one time we were coming from training at Linfield from Midgley, it was down the back and up the lane to the main stadium. Big Tommy pulls me at the side and he says, you're always talking about how good Billy Rogers is. I says, aye, what's wrong? He says, I've just had to hear him talking to Paul Mooney, and he's telling me he's going to get your place, sir. And I looked at Tommy and I says, what's wrong with that? He says, well, you always said he was great for you. And I says, Tommy, that's his job.
Yeah.
Big Tommy even then didn't realise that. He thought he would stab me in the back.
That's the way football works.
That's the way football goes. I says, Paul Mooney eventually did come in the full-back side.
Yeah.
Yes, but that's the way things were at Linfield. But Coyle wasn't that type of person, but
yeah,
don't hold against him.
You go back to Ballymena, and obviously one of the things that we can share on is trophies. You've won numerous amounts of trophies at Linfield. Winning trophies at Ballymena.
The Irish Cup at Ballymena probably means more to me than any of the rest.
Just about to ask that question.
Because at Linfield you're expected to win. Ballymena was a bonus. And to win the Irish Cup. So,
well, the last time they won the Irish Cup?
The last time I went 36 years. Unbelievable.
What was that like? Because I know I've been a part of Ballymena twice, and I've won, as you say, the League Cup with them, which doesn't have a kick in the bum off anything to do with the Irish Cup. But the way the town reacted winning the League Cup that night.
I always said, outside of Linfield and Glentoran, Ballymena, the potential to have the biggest support. Third biggest support behind those two teams.
I would agree.
So it is. And if you've got a winning team, you'll get the crowd out.
I agree.
So it is.
The reason why I agree is we went that close under David. We came second, and Linfield just nudged us out of the way 3 games before the end of the season. But I've never seen Ballymena
commentated in that game for TV, and they asked me what was going to happen at half time, and I says, Ballymena for the beat Linfield, they went top of the table a few games ago. Yep. The closest they've ever come, I think, to winning the league.
Yep.
And I said that Linfield won 1-0. What do you call the Andy Waterworth will score. And in the second half, who scored?
Andy broke a lot of hearts that night, if I'm being pretty
honest. So it is. And that was the thing. I think didn't do too well after that.
No, so once that game happened, we crumbled.
See, that was one thing when I was at Linfield with Coyle. Most years we won the league. The year we didn't win the league, he always came second. And we were only ever 1 point behind Glentoran or Coleraine. Glentoran probably was.
Kicking the arse
off. But all the way around, we always seemed to play the team behind us on Easter Monday.
Okay.
And we were maybe only one. I remember being Glentoran were only a point or two ahead of them. And if they won, they would level in points, but we beat them. And we ended up winning the league by 5 or 6 points. Only 2 points for a win there. Whereas it was all the way around when Glentoran were ahead of us. Coyle didn't let you stop.
Yeah.
You went the whole way. We didn't win the league, but they were only a point ahead of us.
Yeah.
Whereas all the way around, by the time the last 2 games came, we had the League One.
I also think that at that stage where we're playing, Linfield are in that position every year. You know what that's like. You've been there. You've won numerous league titles. Ballymena and the team that we had, the majority of the players hadn't won the league.
Like,
And that experience is crucial. I think that experience that you have of being there, dealing with those games and those scenarios, it's big.
I
It
agree
helps.
with you, yes. Also, we even have one or two players that have won the league. Like, I remember one of the things, Ballymena, I think it was at Linfield we beat just after I started playing for Ballymena. Say Linfield, I wasn't sure if it was Linfield, one of the big teams. I remember the following week we were playing Bangor down at Clandyboy. Jimmy Brown was the manager still at the time. And I remember listening to the boys in the dressing room and thinking, I don't like the sound of this.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, don't care, Jimmy didn't like anybody said anything in front of him. I just jumped up and I said, boys, I don't like the way you boys are going about this. This is 5 minutes before we went out. I said, because we won last week, you think it's going to be a dot all the day. And they all just sat and looked at me as if at two heads. I went out, I think we drew one each or something, but Bangor were one of the bottom teams at the time.
Yeah.
We were expected to beat them. Mentality.
Football, it's not like that at all. It's unforgiving.
I remember reading a book with Daley Thompson, who's a Catholic, and he says, the higher you go in sport, the more mental it becomes.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
So, and he was great at it. There was a big German he used to suss out all the time. From the Catholic, he used to keep him going to wear T-shirts and saying, I'm the best. And he says that the mentality
It helps.
wins you the games.
It does.
You have
Sometimes
the
it just
mentality
takes,
to know what it means to win the league. It helps when you're...
if you have a team of winners or a team that's expected to win and has that, I think that definitely kicks you, especially against one.
The question I've been asked a lot of times, what's your worst experience football was? And what made me more angry than anything was we played Glenavon one day at Windsor. We beat them 9-0.
Okay.
And I was raging that we didn't get a 10.
Okay.
We hit the post, we hit the bar, we keeper made saves. And somebody says, it's your head cut, you won 9-0. I says, I know, I was 1-10.
But who actually wins 10?
So that probably that was my attitude to football life, and that's probably why I stayed at Linfield so long under Coyle, because that was his attitude too.
Do you think that you had that mentality before you went to Linfield, or do you think that was ingrained into you?
I've had that mentality since I was that height.
Do you? Okay. That will help.
It was just me.
Yeah.
Nobody ever put it into me. It was just, it was just my character. So it was. It's the same as thinking I was getting diddled with the money thing at Ballymena. It never bored me. I was playing for the team I wanted to play for.
Yeah.
And it was 5 minutes from my house. I probably I don't ever remember we were talking earlier on about local players getting a lot of stick and moving on from Ballymena. I don't remember ever taking any stick from any Ballymena. While I was at Ballymena, took a lot, plenty was at Linfield.
When you were at Linfield?
So that
to be expected, that's the...
One of the things, like, the Linfield team I played in was very dominant, but every time I'd have met any Ballymena supporters, they would have said to me, that was the worst Linfield team I've ever seen.
Should have still saying that.
They're still saying it. There's somebody in the paper there a few weeks ago and I laughed. I thought, they said it in our day too.
Well, that was one of the big talking points, I think, that I had, I think, at the time when Gary Hamilton was on and we spoke about David Healy and the Linfield team. Like, they won the league that far in advance. It was that far in advance that no one's ever done it that quickly. And I think that one of the biggest things was them saying that that's the worst Linfield team that's won the league. But if you're saying that about a team that's won the league that far in advance, what about everybody else is in the league? Like, how bad must the league actually be then?
And then I used to get, you're just lucky Linfield, and I used to love it. So I said, why are you laughing at it? I says, I love it when you call us lucky. And he says, why? I says, because you call us lucky because we won.
Yeah. 100%.
Wouldn't we call us lucky if we could beat? So I said, keep calling me lucky because
I'm happy enough to win every league.
It's
nothing better than winning on a Saturday.
So there's a lot of games we didn't play. Good teams. You've got to win the league. There's plenty of games you're not playing well, but you still win. That wins you the league.
Yeah.
So it is. Where you're lucky, you need. Any footballer needs a bit of luck.
No, I get you. Well, I don't want to get too sidetracked here because we've kind of went off on a wee tangent there, and I was kind of hinting at you talking about winning the Irish Cup, because winning the Irish Cup for Ballymena is obviously one of the biggest things that's happened in Ballymena's history. So, talk me through the day. What happened?
The day also, what I remember mostly, Alec McKee was the manager from Ballymena. There was 5 of the team from Ballymena.
Okay.
There was Michael Smith, John Heron, myself, Stephen Young, and Lindsay Curry.
Okay.
All played in the very season. We'll get that now. So many people from in, but. I remember even before the match, Billy McCready. I don't know if you've heard of Billy. Was I think he was there 50 odd years as a kit man, physio and all that there.
Okay.
It's the pinnacle of any manager's career. See what lead his team out in the Irish Cup final day. I let Billy McCready take the team out.
Amazing.
And I think that says all you have to say about Alec McKee.
What a gesture.
So it's probably the one and only, he knows probably the one and only time to get to do it, but he let Billy do it. So it is. I remember the day, it was a real sunny day. The pitch was terrible. It was just, there was hardly any grass on it and it was just solid. The match was terrible.
Yeah.
They won 1-0, who cares?
Nobody cares.
Paul Hardy and a wee flick. They remembered how bad the pitch was and all that there. So.
They just remember the name that won it.
And I remember all my mates were all big Ballymena men. I remember saying to one of them, I says, if we win the cup, he says, I'll let you get a hold of it. And I remember we were running around with Michael Smith was captain. I remember we were running about and he was run by me and my mates were all, I called Michael Smith back. I said, right, bring the cup back here. I ran up and give it for me, big Derek Russell, big Bean.
Brilliant.
He loved that day. So he got a hold of the Irish Cup. So it is.
The memories that you have.
And then we went to the social club, Ballymena Social Club was going at the time, and then thereafter, and it was a great night there.
Absolutely.
So nice.
You shouldn't have been able to buy a drink now for the rest of your life. We've been living down here.
Oh, they wouldn't let me in there after. So, no, as I say, football's been really good to me. But I enjoyed after the match as much as I think you do yourself. You have to.
Yeah.
If you work hard, you're entitled to play hard.
Absolutely.
So it is.
When you look back overall in your career, what's the defining moment that you would categorize as that's the pinnacle? That's my one memory that I take away from football, and that's it.
Probably scoring against Ballymena in the Irish Cup then.
Complete opposite.
So it is. I really enjoyed that moment. And even just to say I played for Linfield and Ballymena, the two teams I wanted to play for.
Was that the Irish Cup final?
Irish Cup final.
So you, as a Ballymena man, went to Linfield, scored, beat Ballymena for the Irish Cup. But you know what? We have a couple of things in common here because we've both done stuff there.
I was about to laugh. I was there that one year that you scored for the Cruise, and I thought to myself,
we've done that. You know what? We were destined to have this podcast today.
It is. It is. That was good. Football can be a cruel sport. Dressing rooms can be cruel places, but you either sink or swim. You
have to. I think that's one of the biggest things for kids now too. I think if football's changed drastically, it's probably changed massively from whenever I started to whenever you started as well. But I think the big change.
If you didn't play for a school team or maybe your BB team, if you were in it, which I wasn't, you had no football.
Yeah.
Now they've under sixes and under sevens.
And they've got green, blue, red.
Enjoyed,
With so many teams now, kids, it's crazy.
Now, analysis is good and all. If I was a manager, I would use it. That wouldn't define me.
No, definitely not. I'd be the exact same as you, I think.
So
I think it's all very well and good if it's used correctly. I think if you're injured and you have certain barriers that you need to hit to get people back where they're fit and ready to go, yes, perfect. But if you're going to define somebody on a Saturday by they need to run 10k, I don't think that's right.
Barry Ferguson's caretaker manager of Rangers. Mm-hmm. Your man Clement before him had all this analysis, 3 full-time boys analysis. And they left one of the players out because the boys told him he'd run the amount of miles he should run. And Ferguson came in and they come over to the 3 boys come over and says he has to stop training now. Ferguson says, why? He said, because he's run these miles for this week, he doesn't need to be doing any more. Ferguson says, see you 3 boys, get the hell out of this ground and don't come back. He says, I'll decide if he can't run anymore. He's playing well every week, and you're telling me not to play him.
Well,
that's it. I would still use analysis. But
that's a negative side.
I would use it. 100%. I would still use my head.
Oh God, But then again, most people who, and not trying to be disrespectful here to people who do analysis by no means, but at the same time, I'm thinking most people in that you can just do a qualification and go into that because you're interested in football. You mightn't actually have played the game or understand the game at a level or have compassion.
I always used to say everybody always says the Linfield team I played them are really fit. I said, you're 2-0 up, you run all day.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
If you're 2-0 down, you're tired.
Yeah. And you have to chase to
That's
get
the
it back.
mental bit again.
Yeah.
It's funny how, I suppose it's not just football, it's all life, all sports especially. Mentality. You have to have the right mentality. You're not going to do it.
When you make the decision to finally step away completely from football, what's that like for you?
I remember I was playing for Carrick reserves and a game up at Antrim. I remember this boy went by me and I stopped and I thought to myself, that boy there shouldn't make him by me.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, that's it.
Are we triggered?
Then that was it. I just said, that's me, I'm finished.
Yeah. Were you content with being finished?
I wasn't content, but I accepted it.
Yeah.
So that.
Did you do anything else other than that? Did you do your coaching badges? Were
No,
you
I never.
managing?
First coaching badges I done when I was 24. I've never done any more after.
Okay.
But it's a simple thing again. When you were doing the coaching badges in those days, they brought in all the school kids, and they were we were up in Tranbell, mostly from Belfast, and there was always usually this in the middle of troubles, a lot of wee coggy boys about now. And I remember there was this one wee boy, only about 6 or 7, but he caused havoc.
Right,
all
okay.
the things and all. And then it was my turn to take their grip. So the wee boy caused havoc, and I just overhit him a big kick in the backside. And I says, that's enough of that. Get you in the line there with everybody else. Now, if I'd done that nowadays, I'd been in court.
Probably in jail,
The instructors, fair play to them, said to me, I like the way you dealt with this situation. You couldn't do that now.
No, definitely not.
So it is.
Too much red tape around.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can't really kicking people one thing, but
I have it. Or went up the backside, but he just looked at me and there wasn't a word out of him after it.
was that your last time that you done
That was
any
any coach
sort of
I got,
coaching?
I always intended to get into management. It was always my idea to be a manager. I remember lots of times, not Norman's wife, Norman McBurney's wife, was saying to me, Norman wants you to be the manager,
Right, okay.
And I'd always intended to, but I got to the stage where I had 4 young kids. I had a job, I was doing homers as an electrical bit,
Okay.
and I thought, football management is part-time, but it's a full-time job.
Completely agree.
And I thought, if I'm going to do a job, I want you to do it right. Mm-hmm. And I thought, that's not for me. And then I ended up, I went and done a degree, spent nearly 9 years. I left school with no qualifications, 9 years doing OANC, HNC, to got a 5-year degree. Couldn't do that and do football at the same time.
What did you study?
I studied engineering.
Okay. And you've been an engineer ever since?
So, yes. Well, until I retired about 7 or 8 years ago.
Fully deserved.
I didn't retire, I was made redundant. So I did. I worked in Gallagher's there, and that shut down. I just haven't worked since. Just go to the gym every day with a certain other fella.
I know, well, you're looking sharp now, as we've said. The phone call came now quite sparingly, and do you know what? It's been fantastic that it did. I'm really glad it did, actually, because the conversation's been probably one of the best conversations that I've had here. It's very interesting, very intriguing.
Oh, probably a lot more, I can't remember.
Well, there is.
But here, I remember wee Billy Sinclair, he managed lots of teams and played for Linfield and friendly with Alan Fraser and all, another fellow we're always with. He wrote a book.
Right, okay.
I remember reading his book and I remember thinking, there were lots of wee stories. I said, really right.
Yeah, you have so much. You've been back at the Showgrounds a few times.
I used to be a regular until COVID.
Okay.
For COVID, I just never went back and I got out of the way.
Right, okay.
So it is. I'll still be back now. So with the corporate dinners now. Yeah, I'm not going tomorrow, but going to the one at Christmas and all. But football's just, Irish League football is more enjoyable to watch than English football.
At the minute, I would agree. I'm a Liverpool fan. I couldn't necessarily. To be honest, this is probably the first time I've probably been able to sit down and maybe watch football on a Saturday, and I have no interest.
The boys diving all over the place and they're running referees, goalkeepers. It's all about cheating. Mm-hmm. Seems to me, in my day, if you pulled somebody's jersey, it was a free kick.
Yeah.
Didn't matter where you did it or how you did it. Yeah. Nowadays, I heard the Scottish referee saying every pull of a jersey inside the box was not a penalty.
Yeah.
Why not? The rules of the game says you're not ready to do it. But they say they apply in rugby rules now to inside the penalty box.
Same with the handball rule type thing. If it strikes your hand, it's a handball. Oh. But then also depends on if your hand's up or down or where it is. And
see, if I was forward and the rule was same as you're saying, people, they wouldn't shoot for the goals, they shoot for your hand.
Try and
So
get
it has to be deliberate.
Yeah, it does.
So it is. But some of the decisions now are, I'm just thinking about it. I think VAR has done referees more harm than it has good.
I think
It just shows how bad they are.
there's a lot of criticism on referees at the minute, even in the Irish League, if you've seen the decisions and stuff that have happened recently. But I mean, it's hard to say. You try and defend people as much as possible, and I understand that the job's difficult. I haven't stepped in the shoes of a referee to be able to understand what it's actually like, but when you get those clips back at the end of 5:30, 6 o'clock, and you're able to see what went
But then that's the same as VAR. You see, you can look at every tackle in VAR, you could find a free kick in it.
Yeah. No, 100%.
There's always
something. Even if you go back a wee bit, there's a
thing
little
at
bit.
all. The referee can see it when he goes to VAR, and it's definitely going to give it.
It's a thankless job now being a referee because
I agree. I say
the only person who's getting it from both sets of fans is there's somebody who's
the referees in my
extremely
day,
hated.
they like the ones that just spoke back to.
Yeah.
If you shout at somebody, says, "Oh, you're not playing so well yourself."
I'm
not allowed to do that now, I don't think.
No. Well, Ray McCrangle was probably one of the players at that for us.
Most of the boys did that when I was playing. So they did.
And you know what? You respected that. You had a wee bit of fun with it. And
because when they said that to you, you thought, oh, shit.
It's more of a human element to things too as well. Do you know what I mean? You're not a robot, and you can have a wee bit of rapport built up.
There's one of the best players I ever played against. The best player I ever played against was Felix Healy.
Okay.
I remember Linfield were playing Korea in the semi-final of the Gold Cup at the Oval.
Okay.
Jim Platt was in goals for Korea, and he was player manager. And at this stage, Felix, for coming to the end of his career, Felix is the sort of player, you don't tell him where he plays, he just goes out and does what he wants.
Yeah.
But Jim Platt put him out in the left wing, and I was marking him. But first minute of the match, Platt, big high ball up, I goes up with Felix, so Felix, whack. Just hit me around here, my mouth all swore up, and I remember just looking at him, and I says, "You going to tell me you didn't mean that?" And I just laughed, and I never laughed at him back. I fairly kicked him after the game. He gets sent off. They had 2 other players sent off for kicking me. The 3 players sent off for kicking me. So they had. And then the worst tackle I got of them all was near the end, right at the dugouts. Their fullback came in with his feet up round my face, up round my neck. I seen him coming, was able to line. Alan Snoddy was referee, and I thought he was the best. But he didn't like you talking to him. Mm-hmm. Alan was lying, I'm lying on the ground, and Alan come over. And I says, "Alan, that was the worst tackle of the night. What are you going to do about it?" And he looked at his folks, and he says, "John, since you're 4-1 up, there's 10 minutes to go. If I send him off, I have to abandon the game." I says, "All right, play on." That's the sort of thing with referees. You could talk to the referees. Nowadays, I don't think they wouldn't do this. Well, you would know now. Can you talk to anyone now?
You can try to. I think they try and keep it where the captain's the one who delegates and has the conversations. Do you know what I mean? But it's very difficult. Things like they're kind of. It's kind of like they're their own team. And as you talk on referee,
the thing with referees were playing. I think it was one of my first Glentoran matches. Linfield Glentoran. I was in midfield. I remember we got a great tackle on Billy Caskey, right in his penalty spot, or the centre spot, and he went up in the air as he came down. He just whacked me straight in the jaw.
Yeah.
Wee Oliver Donnelly was a referee, and I looked over. I could see Oliver come running over. Wee Oliver, he steps, and he looked. He says, "You all right? You all right?" I says, "Oliver, you seen that, didn't you?" He says, "Play on." Just go home at those days.
That's the thing too. Probably in a big game like that too, he's probably going, "If I make a decision here, this could be crucial."
He's seen what happened. He just play on.
You're going to take criticism of the referee in any game, I think.
That's a hard job. You can't please everybody.
No, and there's always going to be someone who's losing.
To me, VAR just shows up all their inefficiencies.
I do too. I think in certain sports it's fantastic for certain sports, but
like tennis is good for the line, and I like the thing on the goal line.
Rugby as well.
Only once I think I remember Reds do the VAR was wrong, but they're getting so many things wrong. Like if you watch them slowly, you might find something wrong with it. As
you say, I kind of love the whole aspect of being a centre forward when you might have been offside. And you've got away with one, and you know you're offside even, or something happens and you slot it and you look, you get away with it. There's a wee, I've got away with one there, you know, and that's gone from football now.
All evens are set up, I believe, at the end of the day.
It
So
is.
it is.
But listen, what an absolute pleasure it is to have you in the studio on the podcast. It's been phenomenal. And as I say again, I really appreciate you taking the time. I was stuck there, and
I might be right.
you've saved the day. But hopefully you do write a book, and if you do, I'll put the book in the middle of the table and I'll help you with it, no problem. But listen, thank you so much. Just to end off here, we finish on hugs.
Okay.
All right, John.
That sounds good. Just shake the hand.
Thank you.
A hug's for right. Thank you very much. I tell you, he was one of the best huggers ever was. Big Davy. Big Davy John.
Oh, he warps in. See, he's too big. He's too big. He sucks you in.
Davy with a
He's got a big comfy belly
big
too.
bear,
You know?
bear hug.
Big comfy belly up, pal. Thanks for joining us this week on the On the Spot Football Podcast. Join us in the next few weeks for more fantastic guests. See you soon.